Welcome to the Trader, a Traitors podcast. I'm Matthew, and I have spent the past 3 years working in unscripted TV development and podcasting. This podcast is dedicated usually to English-speaking versions of the Traitors around the world. However, for the first time this season, we are covering French-Canadian Traitors, Les Traitres. We've been deep diving into every episode of season 3, recapping the main events, analysing the strategy, the tactics, the gameplay, and the missteps and mistakes. I am being joined on each episode by a rotating roster of co-hosts, and joining me today is a familiar face and voice to those of you who are loyal, faithful listeners. MaJiKer, welcome back to the podcast. What a wonderful surprise to have you back with us to cover Les Traîtres. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. I don't know what language to speak to you in because it should probably be French, obviously. We've just anyone who follows the podcast on social media would see that we've just had a little adventure in Paris. That
Oui?
makes it sound like we had some kind of excursion, but actually we were just both there for the same thing, which was to see a concert. And now I know, although on YouTube it looks like you are at the manoir.
Oui, of
Uh,
course, I am. Bien
in,
sûr.
in some strange way, the manoir feels quite German today. I don't quite know why that is. There's just a kind of Dusseldorf vibe to your manoir, but there we are.
I've I've just been told I've got a German vibe sometimes by people. It's emanating through the screen, but I am absolutely at the manoir. So don't I won't hear otherwise, okay?
Ja, du bist in den Canada Manoir.
Yeah.
I don't. You might think we've lost the plot, dear listeners. It's that Matthew is on a magical European tour, so he's all off all around the place. I'm back in the UK, where I know what your next question's going to be. Why am I here? Well, I'm a big Traitors super fan for anyone who doesn't know, but you've probably heard me on this show before. And so I've watched lots of versions. I love all the French language versions because I speak French, although I do need to watch this Canadian French version with subtitles because they have some little their accent and they have little Quebecisms that I do not know. So yeah, but really enjoying this season so far, and I'm very excited to talk about this episode.
And of course, MaJiKer, you are a musician extraordinaire. You are a songwriter, a producer, all sorts of wonderful things, an incredible pianist. And I'm saying that because A, it's all true, but B, I'm going to refer to the music once or twice in this episode because there's something interesting that a listener has noticed about the music in this episode, which I didn't pick up on, but uh, come round table time, we'll discuss something quite significant, I feel.
Okay,
Um,
je suis curieux because
mm,
I do not know what that's going to be.
yes. So we have covered episodes 1 and 2. We had the lovely Maria on last week to talk about episode 3. And today, episode 4 of season 3. Here we go. As a little recap, a reminder, after Dominique's somewhat inevitable banishment, the remaining traitors decide not to recruit, but to continue to murder, deciding it seemed between Jacob, Donnie, and Justin. Just gonna say, in the previous episode of the podcast, I predicted Donnie may go. Just saying that now. Just
Mhm.
keep that in mind. It's the morning, it's the next day, it's breakfast time. The first batch of players arrive and discuss Dominique's banishment and how apparently for some players it'd almost been obvious all day. The signs had been there. They felt that she was acting strange. So I think in the previous episode I kind of suggested that it was perhaps more obvious to the players than us. Like I wondered if they, although it did come to a tie break, but I wondered if the edit didn't want to make it too obvious that one of the traitors was likely to go, so they kept it until the round table for people to suddenly talk about Dominique quite explicitly. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, given the way some people are like conspiracy theorists and think that, it's kind of planned and, storylined and stuff. But I mean, I think it's really not. It really is a game that's being filmed. And the fact that it comes down to Olivier and Dominique at the end, then you think, well, that's probably the way that the whole thing was going, basically. That half the
Yeah.
people couldn't get off Olivier and the other half were like, it's so obviously Dominique because of her behavior. And I think actually the editors did quite a good job. Am I crazy, or is the editing a little bit better in the French Canadian one? Have you noticed that, Matthew?
That is very funny you say that because we've had at least one listener comment about this very thing, suggesting that I mean, partly, I think for a very simple reason, it might just be the length of the episode. Like
Yeah.
we have an hour, well, an hour and 6 or 7 minutes if you include les révélations, but there's a bit more space to breathe in these episodes.
Mm,
Sometimes the English-speaking Canadian versions were just the 45 minutes or maybe
yeah.
even 43, 44, and it just felt, even though it's only 15 minutes difference, you could feel that sense of compression and
Yeah.
losing bits of conversations and not quite
Mhm.
understanding why things have very suddenly happened. So I would agree with that. Yeah.
It's interesting, and you say only like 10, 15 minutes, but that makes all the difference. If you think about how much extra information you can squeeze into like 10, 15 minutes, it's not just padding, it's the game, it's the gameplay, and it's the suspicion. So it's like, where did the suspicion on Dominique come from? It came from her big E. I've lost my English now. Stuttering, stammering over her words, like,
Yeah.
tripping up over her words. That's where it came from, and we had to see that. We didn't want to see it once, we wanted to see it a few times. And so it's one of the reasons I'm really enjoying this season so much. In fact, currently it's on course to be one of the best recent seasons I've
No.
seen. I think it's the cast is excellent, and the way it's all playing out, as we will see this episode. I didn't want to give you any spoilers because you watched it a little bit later, but this was a great episode, my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And speaking of suspicions, they seem to be turning quickly towards Francois. Both Steve and Patrick say here at breakfast that he's their main suspect at this point. They're confident enough to say it, at breakfast. It's first thing in the morning. They're already saying to others, "Yeah, I think it's Francois." Like there's just that alone made me think 5 minutes into the episode, oh, he's in trouble. If people are openly saying this without worrying who's hearing them, this suggests a problem, perhaps. Of course, Caroline is still on Olivier, as she is for most of the episode and has been since episode one, I think. She reckons his body language betrayed him last night at the round table because of the way he gesticulated after Dominique revealed she was a traitor.
Hmm.
And Caroline brings this up a little later as well.
Hmm.
We talk a lot about body language and whether or not it's wrong. We've just said, oh, Dominique, she made it too obvious. She was hesitant. She was stuttering. Sometimes maybe there are very, very big giveaways that lots of players can't ignore.
Hmm.
Sometimes players just pick up on the wrong things and they misinterpret. And that's obviously what Caroline is doing here.
Yeah, I do think actually I think we obviously know he's not a traitor, but he is very emotional, and
Hmm.
so actually he has, he keeps crying, and then his little explosion at the round table, like, je le savais, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. It is a lot, but we know that that now comes from him being an emotional player, but they don't
Yeah.
know that, and also you can sometimes the traitor does overcompensate and does
Hmm.
overdo it. So I understand where Caroline is coming from actually, and
Yeah.
he's doing his bless him, he's doing his best to defend himself, but he is looking quite suspicious as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder where things are going after this episode. I'm already excited to see next week's and find out what's going to happen to Olivier.
I don't. I'm just putting it out there. I don't think he's going to win. I'm not seeing his as a winner trajectory. But hey, stranger things have happened in this weird and wonderful show.
Indeed. We finally get down to our last few players to arrive, or last two players to arrive, and some players are discussing Jacob and how he voted for Pierre Samuel last night, and that seemed a little out of the blue. Camille also points out that Jacob he did this thing yesterday where he it seemed to behave, he was behaving in a contradictory way. On one hand, it felt like he was targeting Olivier and was talking to other players about suspecting him, but then was helping Olivier and was going to him and saying, "Oh, your name's going to come up tonight at the round table. I'm just letting you know." So other players are finding this a bit odd. They can't understand where Jacob stands. The door knocks, and we get one of them in, just as Justin arrives. Huge applause. Seems like a popular player. They were really excited when he came back in. And the Jacob chat continues, which I thought was very interesting. So Camille talks about Jacob again and how I didn't quite follow this little bit of conversation. She says that Jacob and Steve both caught her. Sorry, I'm saying Camille. Maybe it wasn't. No, it was Camille, I think. She was eavesdropping on Dominique yesterday, and Jacob caught her doing that, and Steve caught her. But I think she's sort of saying, "Well, I'm cool with Steve," but something about Jacob bothered her in that moment.
Mm.
The subtitles betrayed me a little here, so couldn't totally follow.
Yes, that went very fast, that bit. We suddenly saw her kind of like crouching by a door, and I was like, "What's this?" I
Yeah,
think I was saying the editing was so good that bit wasn't quite clear, even
yeah,
for me. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. I was like, not following this little thread here, but I think they just wanted to plant some seeds for suspicions to grow a little bit later.
yeah. And the fact that now we've had two or three people talking about Jacob made me sort of suddenly realize, oh, he's coming back. Donnie is going. I thought they're not devoting this much airtime to a player who's about to be eliminated and we're never going to see them
Mm,
again. So I sort of, and that's not a criticism of the editing, really. It's just I'm pointing out that sometimes you can pick up on little things. If you follow the language of editing, you start to pick up on why are they including so much about this one person who's potentially about to go. Oh, he's probably not going. So it just struck me at that moment. And yes, and he arrives, he's next. We get our flashback to the traitors. There's not much to reveal here. That is sort of a repetition of what they said last night. They think that Donnie may be a dangerous player. She seems very observant. She's taking in lots of information. She's popular as well, and so her murder would upset the group. And yes, we see her get her letter and so on. I'm going to include actually a comment here from Zach on YouTube. Zach is a long-time faithful listener who mentioned the editing and said, like you, I've recently watched Quebec season one. I've noticed that the editing is a lot better in French Canadian Traitors than English Canadian, like you said. Everyone gets a story, and early murders are actually seen, unlike some of the other players from the English speaking version. But Zach said, although I've noticed as well from this that the edit sometimes gives away who gets murdered. For example, Eunice had some kind of confessional about murder in episode two, if I remember correctly, um, and then was murdered. This is why I've put Donnie as my prediction this round as the murder victim, because she also had a confessional talking about her fears of being murdered in this episode. Zach is referring to our online Traitors prediction league that anyone can take part in. You can win points that will lead to actual Canadian money. I'll tell you more about this at the end of the podcast. So Zach was right. He sussed that there were too many. And maybe that's why I guessed Donnie was going to be the one to go as well. I felt like she had had one or two confessionals talking about being afraid of murder, and it just felt quite specific and noticeable. And I thought maybe they'd included that because she was about to be murdered. So
yes. Okay, so if you want to head off with the absolute fortune, was it a million Canadian dollars you're offering?
I just less than $1 million Canadian I have offered.
Okay.
Not much of a difference, but
Okay, so what kind of like 900? No, it's fine.
mm.
Uh
Oh wait, I was talking about Canadian Monopoly dollars, which has a very poor conversion rate. I'm sorry. Yeah.
okay,
Uh,
so $50 was it?
It's $50. I'm giving away 50 Canadian dollars.
Oh,
Still,
no.
what a treat.
Now I've made it sound like it's nothing, but that would be actually really cool. Then you would go away, you could go to Pure Simple. Oh, although I don't think they're sponsoring it this year, are they?
Oh
Pure.
no, it's simply spiked. It says like a
Oh,
drink in a can, some
yeah.
like cider or something, or yeah, I don't know.
Well, go and go and treat yourself. Please drink responsibly and speak to your doctor if you think you have a problem with alcoholism. Um, however, if you want to beat the system and win the game, I think we need to get into what some fans of Survivor and Big Brother call Edgic, which is this
Oh
editing. Have you not heard that before? Edgic.
no, Edgic, no.
Oh, okay. I spoke about it with David a while ago. It's editing logic, so it's the logic of the editors basically.
Hmm.
So that's exactly what you're doing. You're spotting the edgic, saying. But I mean, you could say it's a flaw, and it's very perceptive of Zach to pick that up, and it's going to help his game, the prediction game. But how else can you do it? Like you say, if people are talking about the player that's going to come back at breakfast, even the night before, like you've got to keep their story going. That's more important, really, because you're going to find out if you're not doing a prediction game. It doesn't really matter. Like you're going to find out in 30 seconds, 60
Yeah.
seconds who's coming through the door. Um, and you do want to plant the seeds also of why it matters. So if a player is saying, "Oh no, I just don't want to be murdered at this point," you've got to include that. You
Hmm.
have to because for the emotional impact. So
Yeah.
yeah, but keep your eyes on the edge, guys, if you want to win this life-changing amount of money.
MaJiKer, are you saying that someone who does the editing in a show like this is an eduker? MaJiKer and eduker collab? I'm just
We are on
saying.
the edge of glory here, or on the edge of something. But I'm hanging on a moment of truth. And also, I seem to have found some dollars, but these are actually American
Oh,
dollars. But we can
US.
pretend for anyone watching on YouTube,
Yeah.
uh, come and win the prize. Enter the competition, guys. It's fun.
If I had cash, I would throw it around, but I don't, sadly. Uh, Back at breakfast then, the players, yes, they do seem really upset about Donnie's demise. The traitors were right. So yeah, that was their plan was to hurt team morale a little, and it seems to have worked. Off we move around the manoir for some reality time. Got a few different things happening. I've just written PS every time it's Pierre Samuel. So PS tells, as the players seem to be doing, PS tells Olivier he's still on his case, but he's also after Francois too. So early signs that these two players are still in trouble. Meanwhile, a group of others outside are very focused on Jacob and again his vote for PS last night at the round table and how odd it seemed. I think he was the only one who voted for Pierre Samuel. Jacob arrives while they're having this conversation to face these accusations. They mainly, they can't understand why he'd been talking about Olivier all day, but then went for PS. Something's going on. It doesn't add up. And Jacob's defense is, yeah, I was torn between them. Yes, he says he started the ball rolling on Olivier, but then throughout the course of 24 hours, built up a friendship with Olivier and changed his opinion a little bit. And he says, "Come on, if I was a traitor, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't have a vote that makes me stand out like that. That would be so weird. I'm clearly just a faithful. Not sure if they're buying that." Meanwhile, Hilary tells some others that she really wants a shield. Here's another little bit of editing, foreshadowing, perhaps. She really wants a shield. And there's a feeling that she kind of deserves it, maybe, because she had been in. She'd successfully. Well, she'd been in the mission where she was down in the pit and almost got eliminated, and then she survived and helped turn things around against Dominique, and she was given praise for being the one who sort of commandeered that. So she seems quite popular right now. And yes, other players agree. Yeah, yeah, you need a shield. Yeah, you helped get Dominique out. There's ongoing tension between Patrick and Francois because last night at the round table we saw it. Francois, when pushed, said that Patrick would be his number one suspect. But then he voted for Dominique, and that was also a bit sus, and people don't understand. They don't know what to believe. Is he being honest? How do we know what you're saying is what you really feel? Genevieve is hearing all of this, and at this point, she tries to defend Francois, our fellow traitor. She's saying, "Well, maybe I think he's just a bit socially awkward. I think that's just the way he is. I don't know if it's that he's a traitor." And she tells us in her MIV, her master interview, that she's going to try and protect him. She doesn't want to turn on another traitor immediately after she turned on Dominique. So she's saying, for the time being, I'm going to try and keep him in. I'll help the fight against Olivier. That's what we'll do. Try and get another faithful out for now. I Apart from Dominique's big slip up at the end of the episode yesterday, which no one addresses today at all, and I'm pretty sure no one is going to address it. I don't think anyone heard it. Um, I feel like it would have come up.
Who's slip up?
So Genevieve, when at the end of episode 3, she accidentally said she was going to the conclave.
Ah, yeah.
Um, to I think she was talking to Javier and maybe
Mm.
Pierre. It was sort of busy. There were people around, and she very quickly said, "Oh, I just have to go and talk to someone before I get called to the conclave." And then she was like, "Oh my God, what did I say?" It seems like they didn't really catch it.
Yeah.
I think they would have brought it up by now.
Yeah, I think so. I think you just said Dominique's
Oh,
slip
sorry,
up, so
sorry, sorry.
that's why I was confused. But yes, no, that yeah, I think they had to include it because it was such a slip up, but it doesn't seem like it's. And again, this is where the whole thing of like, oh, why are the faithful so stupid? Why didn't they pick up on it? It's like because it's like we're talking about one pronoun, you know. She's saying before they get called to the conclave or before I get called to the conclave, but it's so fast. Everyone was talking, you know. It's I think she got away with that, but then let's see.
Yeah, we'll see. And so it's time for the mission fairly quickly. It seems like we're there already. Maybe because it's quite a long mission actually. It felt like there's so many players and everybody takes a turn of reading out
Mm.
their statement and so on. So it does go on a while. We arrive. We've traveled back in time 2 or 3 years to the Padam Padam video shoot.
Yeah.
Kylie Minogue is here. She's on an elevated throne in front of a giant chessboard. Oh no, it's not Kylie, it's Karine. It's easy to get confused.
Can we please give her a proper name? Because my French teacher, Mrs. Bolcom, shout out to Mrs. Bolcom, who was the best French teacher ever because she spoke French with a Brummie accent, and I'm not even joking. The whole time she was like, Bonjour la classe. Est-ce que vous avez des bonbons pour le prof aujourd'hui? Aujourd'hui, nous allons étudier toutes les verbes qui utilisent être. It was like, what am I learning here? This is like some weird hybrid of Brummie, and we loved Mrs. Bolcom. Anyway, she used to call Kylie Minogue, who was very big at the time, Gilly Minogue. So I think the French have started calling her Kylie, but at the time it was Kylie Minogue. So really, Karine is doing her best. Kylie Kinum, padam padam, hein? C'est le padam padam de Kylie Minogue.
Of course, Padam Padam perhaps taking inspiration from the title of a famous French chanson.
Edith Piaf.
Um, Little
Yes.
connection there.
Hmm.
Uh, Keeley sounds like my surname when you say it like that.
Oh, Matthew Kylie Minogue, double
There we
barrel.
go. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's the collab we've all been waiting for. So here we are, giant chess. They like to use chessboards on different versions of the traitors in various ways. Like, it makes
Which
sense.
which makes
Traitors,
sense, doesn't it,
faithful,
really?
two different
Yeah.
sides, strategy, tactics. Um, she tells the players that they will be divided because the traitors decided who should be divided last night into white and black. White players are the players who are apparently obviously faithful. They're players that most of the others probably trust and believe. The black players are the potential traitors. Oh my goodness, how did the traitors decide this? What have they done? We get a little bit of a flashback to Francois and Genevieve. Genevieve suggests they put Francois on the black team because, well, he already does have a little bit of suspicion on him. I I mean, in retrospect, now that we know what happens at the end of this episode, was that a mistake? Did it really matter? Was it a wise decision to put him there and to put her on the white team? Like,
I This is an interesting one, isn't it? Because I always like these things where the traitors have to choose something because it's the only time that there's any kind of communication really between the traitors and the players, and they have to make decisions. But with this, you're like, well, now we're just in the bluff, double bluff, triple bluff thing of saying, oh, well, they've put you there because they clearly think you are not being suspected, or we've put you on the faithful looking ones because you are not being suspected, but maybe you are being suspected. You know what I mean? It's like layers upon layers of trying
Yeah,
to guess what they are trying to say by doing it. And in the end, I think the only way the traitors can play it really is to just do anyone who's had any sus on the black team, on the suspicious team, and
yeah,
and the others on the white.
yeah. I think it probably was the smart thing to just acknowledge, look, if he's got some heat on him, if he suddenly appears in the white team, that probably that's going to give him even more. It's going to give people even more reason to question him and cause problems. Let's just acknowledge some people think he's a traitor. Um, might even create the impression that the real traitors have put him there to jump on the bandwagon. And he also briefly says, well, it'll give him a kind of fake reason as to why he isn't being murdered if he survives another few days. He can say, well, it's
Yeah.
because clearly the traitors want to keep me here. They think that I'm potentially going to be banished. So, yeah. But nice for Genevieve to be like, I'll just go on the white team. No one suspects me. So it's worked out nicely for her. There aren't really, there's not an even number of players. So someone has to be removed. The traitors have chosen Hilary to be removed from this game, meaning she can't possibly win a shield. Oh man, but earlier we saw her say she really wanted one. Oh, damn.
What a
Uh,
plot twist.
plot twist. Unbelievable. It's a fairly simple game. Each player will read a statement about themselves to a player from the opposing team who then has to guess whether it is vrai ou faux. And if they guess correctly, they'll bag $1,000 for the prize pot and eliminate their opponent from the game. But if you guess wrongly, you're eliminated. The last team standing, however many are left, will win shields. I will go through them one by one, maybe fairly quickly. White team begins, and Robert from the black team goes first. He's up against PS and reads his statement. A mistake I made found itself on the news. And PS consults medium clairvoyant Carol for this. She says it's false. And it is false. It's proof. She's
Yeah.
real. I'm convinced. Robert's
Hmm.
eliminated. I I don't need any if I had any doubts about Carol's abilities,
Yeah.
um, they're gone now.
They're gone. Yeah, it's proof. It's 100% proof. And what I love is how they just turn around. They go, well, Carol. And it's like, that's not how it works. Even if you believe this stuff, that is not how it works. Better check in with the psychic. I mean, they kind of have to just for fun for televisual purposes. But if they really thought, well, let's see how it plays out. Does she get every single one of her ones correct? Not
I
sure.
I think when she specifically asked, she does pretty well.
Okay.
So hey, I'm just saying.
Okay, well,
Uh,
I take it all back. I take it all back. She definitely 100% is psychic, and she needs to create world peace or something by working for governments and
yes,
figuring out what the enemies are thinking. That's what she needs to do.
exactly. Thank you. I'm glad you agree. PS is up next against Jacob and reads his statement. I own more than 50 sports team caps. It's okay. Jacob guesses it's true, and it is. That means PS is eliminated. Olivier is next. He's in the black team. He's up against Caroline, and reads, I am the person who starts to applaud when the plane lands. Caroline and the whites guess that that is true, but no, it's false. She's out. Next is Genevieve, our traitor, up against Olivier. I've been mistaken for a celebrity, and I played along. Jacob guesses that it's true. Actually, it's false. Olivier's out. I was trying to think, like, does she look like a celebrity I can think of that? why does he think it's true? I wonder if they like. I wonder if they think she looks like somebody. I don't know. Um, and listeners, if you think Genevieve looks like a famous person, send me your suggestions.
I'm not very
And
good with faces, so but my closest guess would probably be Denzel Washington. It's kind of a similar in the eyes, something in the eyes.
no, I didn't see it at first, but now that you say it,
Just
it's
this between the
yes,
smile and the eyes and the intensity. I go more by aura than actual physical appearance.
yes, especially in that recent version of Macbeth that he did.
Yeah.
Yes, I am seeing her as the traitress Macbeth. It all makes sense. Uh,
Genevieve vibes all the way. Yeah. So whatever you do, guys, don't ask me to like meet you in a train station because I will literally be Phoebe from Friends when they're waiting for Joey. And he goes, "Is that Joey?" And he goes, "No, Phoebe. That's a small Chinese lady." That's me. That's me. I'm sorry. I'm doing my best.
you're better with audio. That's
Yes,
your gift.
exactly. I
Yes.
would recognize the tone of your voice.
Okay, there we go. Francois is up next against Carole, and his statement is, I have already been banned. I guess the translation doesn't totally work. I've been banned from a casino. The players are horrified. Not Francois, he couldn't possibly be. Carole guesses that it's false. It is false. Francois is out. Steve is against Jacob next. I collect casino tokens. I guess like the little chips that you get in a casino. Okay, strange, interesting. Jacob guesses it's true. It is true. Steve's out. Axel versus Patrick next. Axel says, I won a large amount of money in the lottery. Patrick guesses that it's true, but it's false. And I thought, thank goodness it's false. If that had been true, that would have been a great motive for players to just banish Axel, I'm guessing. I can see players saying, he's won money in the lottery. He's okay. He doesn't need to win this. I don't feel so bad. I mean, it says a large amount of money. We don't know what that means, and it was false anyway. But
Yeah.
it's the kind of thing
I
that could cause problems for a player.
there is still an unresolved question, which is how he can afford his hat budget and also his extensions because that hair is like on point.
Yes, he does like a hat. Yes, very very well dressed. So he's still in for now. Patrick's eliminated. Genevieve is up again, but versus Jacob. A musical one here. I play the saxophone well.
Mm.
Jacob guesses it's wrong, but actually it's true. Who knew? Maybe Genevieve reminds them of a famous saxophonist. I can't think of any right now.
I
Kenny
could list
G.
Kenny
Kenny
G,
G.
Courtney Pine. There's a few. What Candy Duffler. There's a few. Um, yeah,
There
I
we
used
go.
to play the saxophone, but my saxophone teacher was an absolute bully, horrible woman. And embouchure. You could have checked in the embouchure the way your mouth is and whether her lips buzz.
Oh,
Although I think she
yes.
hasn't
Yeah.
played it for a long time, so if I could say, "Can I look at your lips?" But that would have been a bit creepy. So just probably best to just do a carol and just read the tea leaves.
Yeah, yeah. There we go. It's now four versus four. Axel is up again versus Carol. Went half between English and French. Carol, I've had 20 different jobs in my life. This doesn't seem that wild to me. Like, I can sort of believe a lot of people have had 20 different jobs. I don't know. Carol guesses it's true. She's correct because she's a medium. And
Mhm.
Axel is out. Well done, Carol. That clairvoyance came in handy. Justin versus Hélène. I forgot that she's sort of, I didn't realize she was in the game until this moment in the
Mhm.
episode. Justin reads, When I was a child. This was a strange one. I dreamed of being an animator at RDS. I don't know what RDS is. It must be something that the other, they all seem to know what that means. So uh, she guesses it's false, it's true, she's out. Nada versus Camille. I inspired a character in a book. Camille guesses it's false, correct, it is false. Javi is the only member of the black team left. And now it is Carol versus Javier. Come on, Carol, this is your moment to prove it once and for all. And she says that she studied medicine. He apparently very quickly guesses it's false because he can't marry up the idea of someone studying medicine and doing what Carol does. But it's true. Who knew? Dr. Carol. Javi is out. The black team lose. And that means the Shield winners are Justin, Carol, Genevieve, and Camille. They've also added $6,000 to the prize fund.
Just to jump in, I just did a very quick Google, and I think we might be barking up the wrong tree with the whole RDS thing. Did it
Oh,
say animator?
yes. Oh, is
Okay,
it a
so
lost in translation thing?
lost in translation. Animateur means presenter, and RDS is
Oh,
le réseau des sports. So I think it means I wanted to be a presenter on the sports network.
okay. Right. Animateur. Right. Oh, that's funny that, okay. So, what is the translation of animator then? Is it the exact same word, but
That's a
just
very
it?
good question. I mean, I don't think they call it animation. I think you call it like bande dessinée, bande animée, probably. So
Okay.
like, yeah, but it might be animateur. I'm not sure, but yeah, animateur in also in France. This isn't an only a Quebec Canadian thing. In France, you say animateur, and it always made me laugh. I was like, oh, you're an animator. It's like no, host. It just means host.
Okay. Perfect. See, this is why we need you on the podcast to solve these mysteries. Thank
Well,
you.
G Google certainly helped me there, but yes.
Back to the manoir then. They're a group gather. They're still very much focused on Olivia. Caroline is especially irked that apparently he suggested to Karine that he didn't want her to get a shield. I mean, uh, why? I think there's a little bit of confirmation bias. She's been coming after him for a while now. I can understand why he would say, "Yeah, I don't want her to get help. She keeps coming after me all the time." I think that's understandable. And we don't get a lot more here. Hilary is also very focused on Francois still. So, yes, it seems like Olivier, Francois are the two big names that are probably going to come up later. Then a bit of a shift. Karine is suddenly outside playing croquet as she is wont to do.
Mhm.
Funny little crossover here. You have just covered the finale of Million Dollar Secret, which I've yet to watch, but in the penultimate episode, they were also playing croquet. Weird. What's something in the universe? It's croquet era. Who,
Yeah.
who knew it was back? It's
Croquet
back.
week. Everyone get out your mallets?
Yeah.
Mallets? I don't know. Whatever those things are, the stick things that you hit the balls with.
Yeah. By the way, I'm just gonna digress for a little moment. I haven't listened to what you recorded yet because I'm waiting till I've seen the Million Dollar Secret finale. But that mission, that croquet activity in Million Dollar Secret, I found very boring to watch. I thought
Mm.
it was really, uh, yeah, just I thought, oh, it's just some people playing croquet on a tiny lawn. Like, is that the
Well,
second last episode of this huge multi-million dollar show? Like, yeah, I found it quite
well,
underwhelming.
me and David might have different opinions to you. So if you're not
Okay.
going to be on your own podcast, then we might derail it. No, I thought it was boring. It went on too long. But what is interesting about croquet, which might, on a serious note, actually be why they keep showing croquet, is that it's not just a sport. It is like strategy because you're thinking about the angles you need, and then you can also knock other people's balls kind of
Yeah.
out the way. So I think that's why it's the idea of who's got the upper hand, who's closer, who's getting through the hoop, who's, not. So I think that's
Mhm.
why croquet is a thing.
And why Karine obviously loves it very much.
Yeah.
Um, she tells the Shield winners that the Traitors is just like croquet. As I've said many times on this podcast, famously, she then offers them something new. And I'm trying to cast my mind back to the English-speaking version of Canadian Traitors, and I don't think this was included in that version.
No.
She offers them a reveal of how many traitors there are in the game right now, for sure, in exchange for their shields. Ooh, very interesting. I like this little twist. And she'll keep this information from the remaining players, so it's up to them whether they want to tell the others what they've decided to do. I feel like it's easy for me to say as an outsider. My reaction is I would absolutely go ahead and do it and just agree amongst the four of us. Let's not tell the others what happened so that they all think we have shields. Although I realize they are wearing massive shields around their necks. Maybe They'll then go back and the other players go, "What happened to all your shields?" Maybe it'll be very obvious. I don't know. I don't know if they just put them on when they came out here to meet
Mm.
Karine and they weren't really wearing them in the manoir, so nobody would notice. Did you like this little twist, this new
Well,
thing?
you've already done better than me. I think you would have thought, having watched 40 different seasons, I would have thought about that gameplay. I thought, no, I'm not giving my shield away. That was my first reaction. Because I was like, we've said, if you go back to the episode that we recently recorded, how to win the traitors, either as a faithful or as a traitor. Never give your shield away. Like never.
Yeah.
I mean, do everything you can to get a shield because, as Hollywood Jade says, you know it buys you another night, and then you can buy as many nights as you like if you win the jackpot. You know the final prize. So, yeah, first I was like, absolutely don't give it away. What they could have done, of course, is lied, and if they did have to come back without their big shields and say, Karine asked that one of us sacrifice our shield singular, in order
Hmm.
to find out how many traitors there are, or make up some other lies. So we're all hiding them,
Mm.
so you don't know which of them. All of that,
Yeah.
and you're right. It would protect them because how could they? How could they know? I suppose, obviously, because Genevieve was one, was she? Did she get a
Yeah.
shield?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she could know, but again, that risky move of the traitors going for someone who might have a shield, that's something you never do, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. So they have 2 minutes to decide what to do with tea and biscuits. And Carol raises my exact suggestion, that maybe they should just give them up but not tell the others and have this group immunity. Um, and also Camille points out the fact that, well, we were even in the white team. That suggests that the players see us as more likely to be faithful, and that means we're more likely to be murder targets. So Uh, yeah, that the shield, the idea of sh being protected really is important for the four of us. Justin is the first to point out that, of course, one of them sitting here could be a traitor. He says, I don't 100% trust anyone. I can't, which is wise. And therefore, well, yeah, they know the truth if we give up our shields. But like you said, MaJiKer, I'm pretty sure like Genevieve isn't gonna then go and kill one of this group. Like, what a huge risk what a huge spotlight to put on yourself. So I don't
Yeah.
think she would actually do that. In the end, though, they did decide to decline Karine's offer. Boring. They agree that they boo. They just won't tell. Well, they say they won't tell the other players what just happened. They just reject it. Um, I I don't know if that was the right thing to do or not. I guess uh, if you go back and tell everybody, yeah, we could have found out how many traitors there were, but we decided to just keep our shields. Although that probably is smart for you and individually, it might be a bad look. It might make the other players go, "That was so selfish. I can't believe you prioritize yourself over the
Mm.
group, finding out how many traitors there are." So I understand maybe just not telling the others. Although, won't the others wonder where they went?
Yeah.
I guess they could just be like, oh well, they just wanted to do mevs with the shield winners or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm
with
not sure.
with and they've got biscuit crumbs coming off their mouth. They're like, yeah, I don't know. It was just weird. I just found some biscuits on the way.
Karine walks past the window with her croquet mallet. Hey,
Exactly.
what's she? Oh,
What
there's
has
my.
Had she been doing, like, what do you call it? Crazy pavement cake when you when you crush up the biscuits. Yeah.
Yeah, they could just be like, oh, I had no idea. I didn't know she was here. Oh, that's weird. Back to the manoir then. We have Hilary, Nada, and Elaine talking about recruitment and the possibility of an ultimatum coming. Of course, they know they've just got out Dominique. What if we get another one out tonight? What would that mean? Surely that means the recruitment's likely. Nada walks off during this conversation. For some reason, I'm not sure. I think it's that she sort of she can't bear talking about it. She's like, "Oh no, I don't want to think about this." Or maybe I read that wrong, but she gets up and walks off. Um, And Elaine pushes Hilary a bit further. She's saying, well, how would you respond? What if you were asked to be recruited? And Hilary just says, no, no, I'd refuse. Even if it was an ultimatum, I would just give up my spot in the game and I just quit. I just quit. Which I think is a I can't really understand that move personally at all. And then we cut to Hilary and Mev saying, I watched it a couple of times because I wasn't sure she was talking about Nada at first getting up and walking away, but I think she's talking about Elaine saying, now I'm sure she's a traitor. Why was she asking me that question? I think she was trying to suss what I'd do if she offered me recruitment. I think
Mm,
that's what was going on there,
yeah,
which seemed quite sudden of Hilary. I feel like she's gotten quite confident now that she was right about Dominique. She's like
yeah.
feels like she's the traitor hunter and she's got
Yeah.
this little boost.
Well, this happens, doesn't it? And if we just look at the numbers, then so often, it's still a lot of players left, and you go, "We got one now. Next, it's definitely Fred," and you're like, "Oh, you got, you got one." You know,
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
get too cocky just because you got one who was playing the whole Traitors game incredibly badly.
Yes. Meanwhile, Olivier is resigned to his fate. It feels like no matter what he says, people will continue to doubt him. They're probably going to vote him out sooner rather than later. And at the same time, Genevieve is trying to encourage Justin and probably others that we don't see to go for Olivier tonight, save Francois for later if they need to. So it seems like that's still her plan is to stand by her fellow traitor for now. Nada is also putting pressure on Olivier to speak up at the round table. Um, I, I think it's Olivier. Maybe I've written that down wrong. I'm not sure. She's putting pressure on someone to speak up at the round table. I've written putting pressure on Olivier to speak up and target Olivier. So she can't be asking Olivier to target himself. So it's someone she's talking to. I think it's Francois actually
Yeah,
because he is then panicking at this point. Like he seems uncomfortable and he is a bit nervous about speaking out and going for Olivier. Yes, I think she must be talking to Francois at this point.
yeah.
We then are ready for a round table. Coming in then, yeah, it seems like Olivier, Francois, Jacob are probably the players who are going to get heat here. Now be there may have been a little spoiler in the fabric of the episode MaJiKer. I had a message from D on Instagram who spotted something I didn't spot, and this is what I alluded to at the top of the podcast. D says um, she really enjoyed the episode, but my only gripe is the "What waits for you is gold" music. So that must have been lyrics in one of the song that was played. That they played before and during the roundtable. It spoiled that Francois was going. I haven't heard that song in other episodes or seasons, so I was thinking, why is the song about gold being there? But why is there a song about there being gold waiting for them? It must be that a traitor's about to be banished. So D reckons that was a bit of a spoiler that they're about to add another $10,000 to the
Hmm.
prize fund, perhaps. Hadn't noticed it, didn't stand out to me. Maybe
I,
it's a coincidence.
I mean, I'm going to be really honest at this point. Because I watch it with subtitles, I've this is a me problem. I've found that the music that they have used has become so annoying to me because it's all in French and it's just something about the disconnect. Suddenly you get this kind of like it's all so generic, the music. Not all of it, as when we get to La Révélation, as regular listeners will know, I actually met the songwriter and producer who did that, and I actually think that's really beautiful, and she has a beautiful voice. But it's when it's these very auto-tuned female voices coming in going, "Oh, who can you trust? I don't know what's going to happen. It is so scary." I'm like, "Oh my God, just stop." And then the lyrics flash up on the subtitles in English. I'm like, "Yes, bad lyrics, bad song." It's so generic. Like, because this is library music. I know I've done a little bit. Um, And so what has been happening is actually I've been muting it. It's like I just can't. So I just mute it until someone actually speaks in French again and then unmute it. So I'm glad that a listener is not being as petty as I am and is actually listening to this. I don't want to be too mean because if anyone's listening who makes that music, you're doing what you need to do. You're getting the syncs, but yeah, not for me, babes, not for me.
Well, maybe muting it helped avoid the spoiler then, if it was indeed a
Ah.
spoiler. So,
I must
uh,
have known that I was
there
going
we
to be
go.
spoiled, even though the lyrics were flashing up on the screen. But there we go.
Yeah. There's another song at some point in this episode I made a note of. It's just this sort of generic emo band that I thought, oh, come on, can we not do a little bit better than this?
Yeah,
Anyway, let's take a moment to talk about Karine. She looks, not to objectify her,
yeah,
she looks incredible. She's
yeah,
so beautiful, which we knew anyway, but there's a shot, and I think Dee pointed this out to me as well. There's a shot, Karine walks in, and Genevieve is gagged, like her
yeah,
jaw hits the tape. She's just like, oh my God, she is so beautiful.
yeah.
Like, she looks like she is about to perform at the Grammys or
Mm.
accept, I don't know what. She's just stunning.
I'm actually with you on that, and it takes an awful lot for, a lady to appear and my jaw to hit the floor. But well, that's not true. That's not true. There are various, Sonia, Sunita, there are various stars from the 80s that when I see them, my jaw drops for other reasons, particularly
Obviously.
when I hear them sing. But I was the same. Like she looks, it almost made me think. Could she not? Like, she's so beautiful. What were they doing in all the other choices? I know they're trying to be super edgy and make her look, almost a bit kind of not androgynous, but the kind of different haircuts and the weird outfits, which I appreciate. But could someone just make sure that she always like that she has more of these moments? She is so stunning and charismatic. I am 100% on the Karine train now.
Yeah. Um, I even her delivery of the speech tonight I thought
Yeah.
was so powerful. She talks about needing, I need my fix. You have to fight it. I need you to catch another traitor. She wants them to have this intense discussion. She's delivering these lines like Faye Dunaway or something. Like
Yeah.
it's just so fantastic. And it's interesting. I realized actually, this is like her sixth season, really.
Yeah.
She's done this more than now Alan Cumming or even Claudia in the UK, and
Yeah.
including the celebrity version. Like she's seasoned in this. She's in her element.
Mm.
I just want to give Karine her moment. She's just fantastic. I really love her as a host.
Yeah.
Uh, she tells him that the prize fund is $34,900 at this point. Hands over discussion. Axel begins by targeting Francois. There's a bit of a pile on Francois, actually. Like four or five different people are like, and this, and also this, and I think it's you too because of this. So Axel begins. He suggests this idea of the Traitors priest. Wouldn't that just be fantastic? And his reasons are similar to what other players have said. He's a bit slow to name his suspects. They always have to push him to name somebody. Francois is wearing his priest collar tonight. I don't know if he's done that at every round table. I don't know if he has,
Mm.
and I just haven't noticed. But I thought, oh, I wonder if you knew you were in a bit of trouble and did that deliberately.
Mhm.
Um, and he says he just finds it difficult to target people. It's in his nature to see the good in everybody. I'm just an innocent priest. I couldn't be a traitor. I'm just a nice guy. And the others are not buying it. Like Steve, I think, says, "Well, come on, you can say this isn't real life. It's a game. You can separate the game from your life." And Steve also brings up something that had been mentioned before and I'd forgotten. He brings up the previous mission when they were in the graves and somebody was going to be murdered in the mission, and Steve says, "Well, yeah, when I was down there and I was begging for help, you took that moment before you threw one of the wooden rungs down to me to ask if I would protect you." And I think Larry maybe jumps in and says, "Yeah, when I was just begging for people to help. I was just like, why did you stop and ask people, oh well, if I give you this, are you gonna have my back?" They thought that there was something a bit strange about this. Um, Robert as well says, "Yeah, it seems like you were just enjoying the power of that situation a bit too much." Camille also jumps in. She doesn't understand why Francois again mentioned Patrick as his main suspect yesterday at the round table when he was pressed, but then voted for Dominique. It doesn't add up. It's not right. Um, Justin also adds that Dominique, now of course a confirmed traitor, voted for Francois. Or I think Nada actually clarifies that. Yeah, she voted for you before she was banished yesterday. Is there something in that? Something is going on. There's a very strange little conversation that happens here with Jacob. They're obviously talking in, I guess, metaphor, or they're using an idiom, maybe a French Canadian turn of phrase. He's like, I want to get wet. It's sort of like I want to. It's like our version, maybe, of I want to dip my toe in the water. Like I want to get
Hmm.
involved in the conversation. It
Yeah.
just translates strangely. Maybe he says, I want to get wet, and then he names Olivier again as a suspect, and then goes, "Yep, I'm wet now." Like, and the others are like, "Oh, this is weird." Uh,
Yeah. I think you've got the idiom right. I think it's like I want to dive in. I want to like, I want to get stuck in here. I think that's what it means. Unless, he had a little bit of some suspicious liquid somewhere floating around. He was like,
Maybe.
let me, I mean, Karim was looking very hot, so maybe you just need to like cool himself down for any of the heterosexual men at the table. Or
Yeah.
the gay women, we don't know. They were
Yes.
like, goodness me, I'm gonna have to cool myself down. J'ai
Hmm.
envie de me mouiller. I just want to get myself wet.
Or it was a holy water Francois reference. I just want to
Oh,
bless myself, free myself of sin.
could be, could be. He
Uh,
should have used that a little bit more. In fact, he should have. In fact, Francois should have just said, "I swear on Jesus and Mary and the little donkey. I swear on them all. I am not a
yeah.
traitor." And then he would literally would have lost his job because I don't think that might have been a
True.
step too far.
Could have dipped his hand in his water and sprinkled it on people and done some sort of ceremony that frightened them all. I don't know. Uh, Caroline then, unsurprisingly, comes back to Olivier. She's still fixated on his slip-ups, the way he used phrases like, if I was faithful, and talked about an elimination and so on. She also brings up his reaction yesterday that we talked about when Dominique was banished. She thought that it didn't seem like a genuine reaction. Almost that it was rehearsed, like he was sort of aggressively confident as soon as she revealed she was a traitor, whereas the others were really shocked and surprised and they couldn't believe it and they were celebrating. And fairly quickly after this, we moved to the vote. And it's funny because as they're all writing their names down, we cut to Geneviève again and Miv reiterating, well, she can't turn on Francois just yet. Two traitors in a row is a bit much. Her intention is to go for Olivier. So we're thrown a little bit here. We then get a surprise when the votes come in. We start with Jacob, who votes for Olivier, as does Caroline. Then Patrick, Justin, Steve all vote Francois. Carole, now here okay, I'm going to be honest. Carole, the clairvoyant, does let herself down here and votes for Olivier. But I'm going to say she knew it was Francois, and this was just a strategy. So it
Yeah,
was just part of the game. It wasn't really a reflection of her abilities.
yeah,
Hélène votes Francois, and Geneviève does a little speech and actually has voted for Francois. So she's turned against what she told us she was going to do. She's read the room. She's decided actually Francois is probably she obviously knows or guesses very well what is about to happen, and she
hmm,
just wants to blend in with the numbers.
yeah,
So I think this probably was the right move. And Francois has something interesting to say about it later. And Francois is next. Um, I didn't realize he's sitting right beside. Yeah, he's sitting right beside Genevieve. Donnie had been in between them. She's gone now, so the two traitors are side by side at the round table. He obviously votes Olivier to save himself. So it's very, very tight at this point. Francois has five, Olivier has four. And then the tide turns, or the tide just stays in one direction. Javier Camille, Axel all vote for Francois, and Karine says, if you receive one more vote, you're gone. PS is next. He votes Francois, so we know that Francois is going. And the next four votes are all for Francois anyway. Nada, Hilary, Robert, Olivier. So he's gone, it's done. He stands to give his speech. He says he was really happy to play the game with them. He's looking forward to seeing them again. And says, my real name is Francois. I really am 42. I am truly a priest in my dioceses, wherever it is. And I am a traitor. Wow, they go wild. They've got two in a row. It's another 10,000 added to the prize fund. Hooray. And we get a moment of Francois in Mev recognizing that Genevieve did the right thing. He says, yeah, of course, she voted for me. I understand that was the smart thing to do. And he wants her to win. He's still Team Traitor, which is interesting, actually. I'm sort of surprised at that.
Mm.
He's got a bond with her. I guess they got on well. He wants her to go on and win the game. And Karine gives them another little speech. She says the traitors are like vermin and are almost impossible to exterminate. It's funny. She's sort of acknowledging the thing that some people perceive as a flaw in the game, that it doesn't really matter that you just got rid of a traitor. We're gonna have another one join them anyway,
Yeah,
which I thought was quite funny.
I like the, dramatic hosts being dramatic. I thought this almost went a little bit too far. They're not vermin. It's I mean, we love animals, so it's not the rats' fault that they're rats, or the mice, or the cockroaches. Peace and love and cockroach rights and all of that. Um, but yeah, I thought they're really not vermin. They're just playing a game. But I suppose she was using a metaphor that they just keep reproducing and you can't get rid of them. Although you can get rid of them because I've had various vermin around my flat. You just need to get I was going to say a man. It could definitely be a lady. There is a woman called Ladybug Pest Control around me
Oh,
who's been on this morning, who could come and sort it out. So if you do need to get rid of a traitor in your building, then call Ladybug Pest Control.
Ladybug is a great brand. Well done
Yes,
to her.
well done.
We leave the round table. We have time for a bit of a debrief. I'm wondering if Olivier will now be let off the hook. And Axel, one of the first things we see is Axel asking Caroline, "Are you still focused on Olivier? Are you still going to keep going after him?" And she says she's not going to conspicuously target him. She says she'll see what the group does. She'll let others take the lead. Hey, if they still go for Olivier, I'll be more than happy to vote for him again, but she won't outright target him. And Caroline also noticed something that Caroline said I hadn't noticed. She said that she would see them later rather than just good night, see you tomorrow. She feels like something else is going to happen tonight. Ooh. Meanwhile, talk turns to recruitment. Who might be chosen by the traitors if there's a recruitment? Surely that's likely. And Javier even suggests Genevieve as a good choice. On the other hand, Justin puts forward this theory. He suggests, well, the traitors might just recruit an obvious patsy, a fall guy, someone like Olivier, who will then just get banished quickly because it'll add another $10,000 to the prize pot. And other players are hearing this and saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's right." Jacob then worries, well, that could be me. Maybe I'm going to be that target. I know people are talking about me. Uh-oh, if I if I'm recruited, this is bad. Genevieve is then called to give a confessional or an interview. She receives a letter from Karine that says, "Dear traitor, you are all alone now. Tonight you will deliver an ultimatum to the faithful of your choice. This guest will join your ranks or die right away. To help you, I will give you the opportunity to evaluate your options closely." Very closely. Ooh, what does this mean? Very closely. It's such a cryptic clue. It's time for the ultimatum. We've seen something like this before. The lights flicker, masked figures enter the manoir, everyone is freaking out. They're all blindfolded and led to the graveyard. Kathleen awaits, obviously in a fabulous new outfit. She talks to them all while they're standing blindfolded. someone removes Genevieve's blindfold and leads her forward. And we hear voiceovers and mevs from various players about whether or not they want to be recruited. One by one, Caroline points to different players, and Genevieve either nods or shakes her head to narrow down the choices. Anyone she says no to is led off back to the manoir. It's I like this actually. We've kind of seen it before, but it's a nice visual way to see the recruit being chosen because the alternative is Genevieve on her own, just like either talking to Karine or talking to camera, like, I could do this person. Oh, maybe I could pick this person. It's a bit more exciting to have it laid out like this in the graveyard and it's atmospheric and it's creepy and she has to point to people. So
Mm,
I get the choice televisually. And they must have this must have been an option. They don't know when there's going to be one traitor left. I mean, production. So they
mm.
obviously have this in place that as soon as there's one person left, we'll enact this.
Yeah,
They just must have these actors on standby to like come in with their gold masks on. Maybe I mean maybe they're just members of the crew. I don't
I
know if they're
think
just runners like,
I
and
think they're
they're kind of
crew.
around.
I think they're
Yeah.
crew members, surely. Crew members and friends of crew members, you know.
Yeah. So it's fun. I like it. One by one, the players disappear from the graveyard until we are left with it's PS. And Genevieve tells us that she says he sees her as a little girl, like innocent and friendly, and she doesn't think that he would betray her, so that's why she's chosen him. He has his blindfold removed. Then Genevieve pulls back her hood, and he looks really pissed off. And Genevieve even says she will never, 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 jamais, jamais, jamais. She will never forget the look on his face when he realized it was her. She delivers the ultimatum. Apparently, quite quickly, he accepts. He wants to work as a team with her. And Karine tells them, okay, now you need to pick your first murder victim together. PS tells her he didn't suspect her for a moment. He really is surprised. They move on to discuss their possible victims. They start with Axel. He had this confrontation with Steve yesterday, so that if they murder him, it could put the spotlight on Steve, and vice versa. Maybe they get rid of Steve and it highlights Axel. And also, Steve, like they've said before, is kind of a natural leader. He's popular. People in the group like him, they listen to him. They move on to Nada as well. She's very forceful at the round table. If she catches on to them, they could be in trouble, so they want to avoid that. They make their decision with PS telling us it was an easy choice. Genevieve also reveals that, and Mev, that she reckons they could be a great team. This could be a great partnership, but she does worry that PS may want to get revenge on her. Maybe in the future he's going to turn on her at some point. This is where we get this sort of emo song playing. I think it's called The Dark Side. Oh, how mysterious and ambiguous.
Mm.
And the episode closes here. Before we make any predictions about what might happen, uh, and talk a little bit about les révélations and the reveals, MaJiKer, if people want to find you online and, maybe send you a little message, have a chat with you, ask you about all the wonderful things that you do, where can they find you?
The best is to come follow me on Substack, where I'm going to be talking about music. I'm going to be sharing some of my music and yeah, talking about listening and coaching and all the good stuff. So that's just magiker.substack.com, link in the show notes. Yeah, or I'm also on Instagram, Instagram underscore, which I don't check so often because I'm, trying to do a bit of a social media detox, but I might occasionally post a video of when I'm sat 3 to 4 meters, let's say 3 meters away from one of my favorite artists of all time in the front row of a concert, thanks to a certain someone. I might post that on Instagram, so come and check that out. Although the story's probably vanished now, but anyway, come and check it out.
Yes, absolutely. I recommend. And as for the podcast's social media, well, there's a very good reason if you don't already follow the podcast on social media, you really ought to do that right now because I may as well announce here the next online game of the Traitors that I'm running. Actually, the next two I'm going to run on Saturday, the 23rd of May, and Saturday, the 6th of June. This will be version 2 of my online Traitors game, which means if you have played before, you can join and play again. The missions, the tasks, the activities, the twists, the turns will be different. They'll be new. You can play afresh. It's version 2 sounds not exciting enough. I should call it Revenge of the Traitors Online or something like that. So Saturday, May 23rd and Saturday, June the 6th. I will uh, unleash the tickets online. I was trying to find the right word. Release, maybe not unleash. That sounds too intimidating. I will release tickets online, but if you follow on social media, you can see the link and you can find out when I put the tickets online. The first couple of games sold out really, really quickly, so that's why I'm saying you may want to jump on social media and keep a track of when these tickets appear. And you can do that by following on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube at the Trader Podcast. You can send me messages, DMs in those places, your thoughts on the episodes that we can then talk about on the podcast. You can email me at thetraderpodcast@gmail.com. You can send me a voice note on Instagram if you want to have your voice heard on the pod. Or if you don't have Instagram, you can go to memo.fm/thetraderpodcast, record a little voice note giving us your thoughts on Les Traîtres, and we'll include it in the pod. Wherever you're listening and following, of course, it is really helpful to leave a review and subscribe and share it with other people. It can help lots of new people find the podcast, Traitors fans. You can support the podcast in another couple of ways too. You could visit thetradar.redbubble.com where there are beautiful things like this t-shirt I am wearing. You could have your own. You could show off to people how much you love the show and the podcast. Or if you wanted to help by putting in a one-off donation without subscribing to anything or buying any merch, you can visit ko-fi.com. It's ko-fi.com/ Matthew Keeley. And thank you to the people who've done that. Some people do subscribe and have a monthly donation, which is so kind. Um, Kenlin, who may be listening right now and who played our recent online Traitors game, has done that, which is really really lovely, and it just helps me keep the podcast going. You don't have to do that. You can put in a donation of your choice once and leave it at that, and that I would equally appreciate that. Uh, MaJiKer, any predictions about what may happen next? Which one of these players we saw the traitors discuss may end up murdered? It looked like it's between Axel, Steve, and Nada.
Mhm.
Are you going in any direction?
I always find prediction very, very difficult because you don't, yeah, you just don't know which path they're going to take, particularly because there's a brand new traitor. I think targeting those three players is smart. They're very similar, actually. Incredibly confident, articulate, leading the game. Um, I would probably want to break up the Steve and Axel thing because that whole thing was weird. Like, oh, I know that Axel's also studied the same, or was it sinology, whatever it was, as me. That whole thing was a bit odd. But yeah, all three are like right at the forefront of the game, so they're clearly going for an aggressive player rather than a, pure faithful. Although I suppose when you're playing the game that aggressively, you do come across as very faithful as well.
Hmm.
Um, I'd be tempted to probably get rid of Steve. I think people follow him and he's going to have to go at some point. So why not now?
Steve is also my prediction. I think he seems like, on one hand, is leading the game and isn't afraid to come forward with theories and tell other players, but he also seems like a nice guy that everybody likes. So I don't think he's likely to get banished himself. I wonder if Nada and Axel are a bit more likely to end up banished themselves, perhaps because they're quite outspoken.
Mm,
I think they might be on some other people's suspect lists somewhere. I don't know if anyone really suspects Steve at all. I'm going for Steve. Did you watch Les Révélations? Did you watch those last 5 minutes? I made a few notes here. Well, Faye Dunaway meets Francois to commiserate. Oh no, wait, it's Karine, and they talk about how he didn't really ever want to be a traitor, and he says, "Yeah, I made some mistakes. I didn't make enough links with different players. I wasn't strategic enough." Again, he talks about Genevieve voting for him and understands why she did it and congratulates her. Again, reiterates his heart is with the traitors now. Donnie arrives. She doesn't even know who's been banished, let alone what the identity of Francois is, and she's quite shocked to see him at first.
Mm,
They talk a little bit about maybe why she was murdered, and she names her suspects. She thinks that Rob could be a traitor. She thinks that she had some sort of traitor angel thing going with him.
mm.
And she names Francois. She says, "Sorry, I think it could be you. You might be one of the traitors." Something he said to her before bedtime the other night about
Yeah.
not understanding why she was nervous about being murdered made her question things. Her third option is Jacob, a popular name with a lot of the players. And then, of course, they watch on the tablet. They get to see the traitors meet in the conclave. And when she sees it's Francois, she sort of laughs. Um, and is like, "Yeah, I thought it might be you." But when Genevieve reveals herself, she's much more shocked.
Mm.
She does point out, oh yeah, Genevieve, she doesn't speak very much at the round tables, so I had kind of noticed that, but she was definitely more surprised at Genevieve than Francois. Um, what do you feel about this little suffix at the end of the episodes, this little epilogue? Do you like les
Yeah.
révélations?
Yeah, I think it's really good. It's just like a very compact version of Uncloaked, really. Uncloaked is good, but there's often a lot of waffle and celebrity guests that we really don't need. And actually, all we really want from this kind of show is the point at which they find out who the traitors are and ask them a little bit about their game. I think Karine does such a good job of hosting it. Um, I think she's actually brilliant, like particularly in these moments. I without going off on a whole tangent, I've one of the reasons that I'm interested in listening and the coaching diploma that I recently took, it's about asking open, curious questions, and she is absolutely brilliant. And I think it's because she is genuinely curious about the players, so she asks all the right questions. So if they say something and she's not, she goes, why that? Why did
Mhm.
you do that? What was that about? Like she just asked these very simple, open questions. And so in a very short space of time, they get right to the heart of the gameplay.
Yeah,
And it's very empathetic as well. Like she kind of, obviously we've mentioned a few times she uses tu rather than vous, and that's important. It's becoming informal. It's saying, okay, as human beings, as kind of colleagues on a TV show, how did it go for you? There was something interesting that came out here, which is that, I'm not surprised by this. Francois, I think, kind of saw him being on the show as a kind of, I don't want to say recruitment, that's not the right word. Oh, hang on a minute, we've missed the jingle as well.
oh
Someone's been
my
recruited.
goodness.
We
Oh,
keep, oh, I'm doing it. Put it at
right.
the
You
end,
keep
Matthew.
talking. Yeah.
Okay, you hunt it
Do
out.
you
You
know
hunt
what?
it out.
That's what's going to close out the episode today, rather than the
The-
usual outro.
yeah, we have a special recruitment jingle. Um, I think that, yeah, I'm not sure Francois wanted to recruit people, but I do think he was there to. He mentions a little bit about, Christianity, about faith, and I think he says a little bit, well, if it helps someone on their journey towards questioning and all of that, which, is a tenet of Christianity. It's about, spreading the word of the Lord and all of that. So I think
Yeah.
he did his part in his own way. And I was very impressed that he played the game. He didn't play it well, but he played it like fully. He wasn't half-hearted or kind of like, deliberately, as far as we could see, messing it up. He was a priest. He did play the game. He was a traitor. He did the best he could. So, and it was brilliant having a priest in the game. And I love in French, le traître prêtre. They kept on saying that. Oh, it was so tempting, the whole concept of le traître prêtre. We love that.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was good fun. A bit sad he's gone at episode 4. It
Yeah.
would have been nice to see that storyline travel a little further, perhaps. But hey. MaJiKer, thank you so much for joining me again on the podcast. It's been lovely to talk to you and have all of your wonderful expertise. I will be back again next week to discuss episode 5 of Les Traîtres, and I'll be joined by another co-host to break it all down. One who is actually from Canada this time, a real, they exist, MaJiKer, they're real people. There are people populating Canada right now. Who knew? And one of them will be joining me on the next episode. Very excited about that. Until then, à demain, peut-être.
Et écoutez intensivement.
Maybe someone's been recruited. Maybe someone's been recruited. Maybe someone's been maybe someone's been